Okay, YouTube. This has taken me a very long time before I've finally reached a decision that I have to come out and actually say something about this, and it's in reference to government gang stalking. Now, I was invited into this program back in July 4th of 1990, which is Independence Day. I was 12 years old. And the whole program was explained to me on how a campaign is actually run from start to finish over a 6-hour conversation that I had with someone who was my best friend, or one of my best friends at the time. His name was Bradley John Henderson. Now, before this time, I had gotten some inklings that there were some things wrong with Bradley. I always knew there was something strange about him. I just couldn't put my finger on it. I didn't know what malignant narcissism was when I was in elementary school. I never ended up finding out what that term even meant until I think it was grade 9 or 10. But anyways, it was explained to me how the program works and what exactly they do to an individual during a campaign. And the individual, what basically happens is they will nominate a person and place them on the terrorist watch list. Now, I don't know if this is the real watch list or if it's a fake one, but this was in 1990, so this is before they came out with the TSDB, terrorist screening database. So this was well before that. This was, we're talking like 15 years before that. But this is just right when cell phones had just come out and come out onto the market in 1990. I can't remember what brand name I had, which was the very first cell phone I had, which was on my 13th birthday that I received from my mother. But I'll tell you more about my 13th birthday in a moment. So it was explained to me how it's run, how they covertly spy on people, and then they also systematically get other people around the target to join in on the harassment of the individual, and they pay them with, like everyone thinks that they get paid with it's cash, or it's new used auto vehicles, and they get paid with monthly mortgage payments or rent payments, and they'll get the gift cards as well, the food, gas, prepaid phone minutes, and other gift cards. So they actually have them sign what's called a National Security Non-Disclosure Agreement. So it's an NDA that they get these people to sign, and this is why this never comes out to light, and why people never hear about who these gang stalkers are. It's because they get them to sign a National Security Non-Disclosure Agreement, which basically states that they will not tell anyone about anything about a federal criminal investigation that's going on against the targeted individual, especially the targeted individual. If they do, they agree that they will be arrested, handcuffed, and charged with obstruction of justice and impeding in a federal criminal investigation, and will be sentenced and sent to prison. All of their cash, bank accounts, homes, vehicles, and all other assets will be seized and sold at public auction. As they will lose their career job. As for their marriage, they can forget about it. That's over with. And their kids will be taken by CPS, split up, and placed in a foster care home where they will never see or speak with them ever again. So that's the threats that are given to them, and then they make them sign and date the form. The funny thing is they never leave any forms behind. They never leave somebody with a copy of it. So they have the form that's signed and the copy of it. So there's somewhere where they're keeping all this paperwork. There's got to be somewhere where they're keeping all this stuff, because any of the people that end up signing these non-disclosure agreements, now they're part of the system and they can use them for further targeting of other people, particularly in that same neighborhood, if they decide to target somebody in that neighborhood. Now, Bradley was just fawning over the Stasi that day, and he showed me a video on the Stasi. He had this all set up before I came to his place in the morning. I just thought we were going to play flag football with a bunch of friends from school, and this was from grade 7. We were supposed to be going into a new school, into grade 8. So he was trying to recruit me into this, and they wanted me to become a gang stalker, and they explained everything to me over that 6.5 hour period. I refused to do this after they told me that 75 to 80% of the victims are actually single women, some with kids that they try to get taken by CPS, split up, placed in foster care homes, and then some never speaking with their mothers ever again. And Bradley thought this was hilarious. I mean, some of the things that he was telling me were very dark and disturbing stuff that he really, really seemed to enjoy. I knew he was different. There was something wrong with him, but he used to get massive migraine headaches at school, which I didn't know what was going on. I just thought he was sick. He was not feeling well or something. But he ended up telling me that he was hearing voices inside of his head telling him to do bad things to good people. So he was hearing voices that were demons, he said, inside of his head, telling him to do bad things to good people. So right then I should have went, whoa, and backed away slowly and kind of got away from the friendship from us being, one of my best friends. But, I mean, he was one of my best friends. I felt bad for him, and I didn't want to see him suffer, and if that's what was happening to him, then, maybe I could help fix that. I don't know. I mean, that's the way that I was as a kid anyways. I tried to be nice to everybody. I got along with everybody. I had lots of friends growing up in school. Even after I got targeted, I still had tons of friends in school. And until I graduated from high school, and then all my friends seemed to just drop away. It took them about 5-6 years, a good 5 or 6 years for them to get to all my friends and finally isolate me like they want to do when they're targeting somebody. But it was probably my 3rd campaign I was getting put through. So they did this repeatedly to me with these campaigns over the first 15 years. I just thought they were never going to end, and they still haven't ended. But the last 5 years, they haven't hit me, but I've been recovering from dew weapons that were hitting me from 2016, from my birthday 2016 until July 4th, 2020. And July 4th comes up a lot in my story. I refused to join, and the next morning I tried to actually call the cops that day, and when they came to my house, the officer knew my father, and they started talking and chit-chatting, and he didn't get around to getting to what my problem was. He wouldn't listen to what I was wanting to tell him. But it was so much information that was told to me that I couldn't get it all out in a sentence. Like, this had to be something where somebody would sit down for an hour and let me explain how the system worked. I thought, if I write this down, I can get this out and I'll be able to say it clearer. So it makes more sense anyways. And I'm still to this day, it's easier for me to write this stuff out than it is for me to speak about it. I'm very shy of cameras. I don't like cameras. I'm very shy of cameras. So this is what's taken me so long to even do this video, but I don't think I'm going to get many views, and that's fine. But it's not about views. It is about getting it out there though to people so that they can see that this gang stalking is actually real. It's not just spiritual. It is spiritual, but it's real. And it is spiritual because these people are satanic. The stuff that they do against targets are very satanic. Like Bradley said, they used to, when they go into the homes, they'll shove, kick, punch, stab, wound, beat with a baseball bat, kidnap, the pet animal, and then when the homeowner puts a reward up if found, then they return it and get the reward money, and then they will continue to abuse the animal as they're doing the unlawful break and enters into the home, and they'll even put crushed powdered glass in their soft food, or replace the water in their water dish with antifreeze, which poisons and kills the animal. And the animal doesn't know any better. It actually likes the antifreeze. Animals like it. That's why you have to keep that stuff away from animals, because they'll actually drink it and they'll kill them. It'll kill them. Which happened to my dad's $5,000 miniature Doberman Zeus. They put antifreeze in his water dish and killed him before my dad was murdered on July 4th, 2008. That's when he died. And it was after 18 plus years of being radiated by directed energy weapons, or V2K, and I've been attacked for over 35 years. It's been since, here it is right here. So what happened was the next day, Bradley and his dad, who was Fire Chief Bob Ingmanson, showed me the directed energy weapons, and they plugged them into the wall, and they showed me how both of them worked, and they sat upon top of one of each other, and there was 3 dials on the face of each of them. And they were being held inside of rectangular see-through steel cages that were man-made, and they had the machines inside of them, and they were carrying them, so they were able to be carried, but they probably weighed about maybe 30 pounds each. I was able to lift one of them. It was about 30 pounds, maybe 35, 40 pounds. And these two machines plugged into the wall outlet, into the wall socket. There were 3-pronged plugs, 2 of them. So one cord for each one of the machines. But the machines were dialed in together to work together against a targeted individual, and what it did was it shot through the wall, through the inside wall, to the outside, through to the inside of the neighbor's house. And I could see the lady doing dishes, actually, when they showed me on the screen. She was doing dishes upstairs, and there's a little red laser dot that they would line up with the dials. They would always aim it at either from the front. They would aim it on in through the eyes, or from the back of the person's head, on top of the back of the head. And they would always wait until the person was trying to rest, lay down, sleep, and or take a nap for the evening or whatever. Usually it was done at nighttime, I guess. But this is how they would hit people with these directed energy weapons. So you'd be getting pummeled with this microwave radiation during the night when you're trying to sleep, and a lot of times it just keeps you awake. I mean, that's what's happened to me. I had severe insomnia, and that's what it did to me, and it gave me extreme brain swelling, as well as I was throwing up and coughing up and throwing up blood after a month or so when I was getting hit with this. And they'll do this 24/7, 365. As long as you're laying in bed, they'll hit you with it. And if you move your bed somewhere else, they'll just redirect their weaponry to wherever you're trying to sleep. They'll hit you right there as well. So there's no way of getting away from it. There's always somebody monitoring you with the directed energy weapon when they're hitting you with these things. So there's someone always on it. So every time you come back home, they're hitting you with it. But when you go out, you're getting street theatered, skits going in front of you, you're getting directed conversations, you're getting gang stalk fight via proxy. People are attacking you, it seems like, and I mean you're getting people trying to cause accidents, staged accidents in front of you, to get you into a fatal accident and hopefully kill you. So that's their main purpose of doing that. So on my 13th, so when they showed me the weapons, I said, I'm not joining this. There's no way I'm getting involved in this. And I said to Bradley, I said, I don't know if I want to speak with you anymore after this. I go, this is crazy what you guys are doing. I can't believe that this is actually real. And I still question myself if it was actually real what he was telling me, because the guy was a habitual liar. He used to lie about everything. I mean, you'd ask him what he had for dinner, he'd tell you he had steak and potatoes when he had beans and rice. Just little things like that. But he was a habitual liar. He'd lie about everything. And I used to catch him all the time lying. But this time he wasn't lying. He was telling me the God honest truth this whole 6.5 hours, which I ended up finding out later. So on my 13th birthday, 2 months later, he came to my house and said that him and his dad, who was Fire Chief Bob, were placing me and my family on the terrorist watch list as targeted individuals. Which, if you're a targeted individual, what you're a human experimental test subject. That's what we are, you guys. And we're non-consenting too. We never consented to any of this crap. It's psychological government gang stalking warfare. That's what we're dealing with, and it's exact same tactics as the SS Stasi police did in East Germany from 1950s until the 1990s during the silent Holocaust that we're not taught about in our textbooks, our school textbooks. They don't talk about the silent Holocaust that East Germans went through right after the World War. We had won, and we had allowed this atrocity to go on. We knew what was going on in East Germany, and we allowed it to happen. So, and now this is happening in Five Eyed countries. But this has been going on since 1990, like I said. So because I refused to join, they really attacked me hard. I started getting stalked by Bradley for 6 months straight, going to and from school every day during the weekdays. He would be there. And I knew he was tracking me on my phone because he stingrayed me with the law enforcement tool called a Stingray. He stingrayed me the night of my birthday, the night that he said they were targeting me and my family. It ends up being that it was me and my dad that ended up being targeted. But on my 14th birthday, which was a year later, he came to my house again, Bradley, and said that he was going to first kill my dad, then me, then he was going to smother my mother with a pillowcase, and if I wasn't dead by then, he was going to kill my mother, then frame me for her murder with my DNA. Now, I didn't know what DNA even was at that point, but because his father was a fire chief, I mean, they were let privy to a lot of this information before the public knew about any of it. They had Stingray already set up, so Stingray is a big part of gang stalking, and that's how they take over your phone completely and can do so much with your phone after that. They're able to redirect all your calls. They can answer calls that you think you're calling a company, and they'll answer the phone acting like the company that you're trying to call, and then make you sound like you're crazy or something about a simple question that you may have. They'll just gaslight the shit out of you, especially while you're going through a campaign. So I mean, hacking your devices is what they do. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's exactly what they do when you're a real targeted individual. And they will use a pick gun, or a locksmith gets paid extra big bucks for them to cut a key for them for your vehicle or your home. So that's how they get into your home. That's how they get into your vehicle. And that's how people say, well, they got into my house, but there's no break and no signs of a break and enter. My door was just left unlocked. Well, you didn't leave your door unlocked. It was them that did it. And the reason it's a pick gun is because you can pick the lock, but you can't relock the lock. So that's why they leave the door unlocked when you come home and your door's ajar and unlocked. It's because the pick gun can't relock the lock on the door. It only picks the lock. It's an illegal break-in tool called a pick gun. So you got to look that up. I mean, a lot of that stuff you won't find on the regular internet. You got to go into the deep dark web probably to find some of that stuff. But they cost about, I mean, I think they're like maybe $60-$70 to buy. But they break into all locks on homes, businesses, pretty much all businesses, and vehicles as well. Especially the old style vehicles. Now they can copy the RFID chip in your key fob. So they make copies of it easily now. It's very easy for them to do it. They just intercept your signal on your remote fob, and they've now got a copy of your exact remote fob key to get into and even start your vehicle as well. So, I mean, sometimes what would happen was I would park my vehicle, I'd come out the next morning and it's in a different spot, like a completely different parking spot than where I left it the night before. And I would come out every couple days, my door would be wide open. They'd leave the door wide open, like ajar, with all the windows down. If it was raining, they'd leave the windows down, the doors ajar, and I'd have to close the door and it'd be soaking wet inside my vehicle. I mean, it just, and then you start to get the moldy smell in your car, and it's just hard to get out once there's rain and saturated with water on your carpets and in your seats and everything else. It's hard to get it out. So anyways, that's my story for now. I'm doing a short video. I want to get a video out there just so that people know that yes, targeting is real. There's nothing fake about it, and people are not delusional or out of their mind or schizophrenic when they're talking about these dastardly deeds that these people do. And I'll get into it more later videos on what exactly they do to a target during a campaign and how it's run from the beginning to the end of it. I just need to write it down. I've got it typed out, but I don't have a printer right now that's working. I mean, I'm a targeted individual. I don't have a lot of money to be throwing around. By my 18th birthday, I was supposed to have access to $7.4 billion, and that's residual income that I was supposed to have. And because of our targeting, they destroyed our family businesses. They murdered my dad, like I said. I mean, he died on July 4th, which was the same day I was told I was invited into this program. So they were doing that to traumatize me. And these people are sick, man. They're very sick individuals that are doing this stuff. And Bradley especially, I mean, he is not medicated, and he is a malignant, narcissistic psychopath. That's what I ended up coming to grips in terms with in grade 9 or 10 there. That's what I was dealing with. So, and I believe that he's the one that murdered my dad. I ended up finding out he was living 20 minutes away from my father. When my parents had broken up, my dad had ended up moving from the penthouse suites in Twin Towers. He moved down to Cultus Lake, BC. And I ended up finding this out only a few years ago, that Bradley was actually living a 20-minute drive away from my father. So after his threats about killing him, I mean, why wouldn't I think that it was him that did it? I mean, it's quite obvious, isn't it? And in later stories, I'll talk about Amazon. My dad met with Jeff Bezos, the owner of Amazon, in 1994, and Jeff stole our business plan manuals and tried to sell them for $1 million out to somebody in New York. And that's a whole another story as well. But folks, okay, so thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you guys later. Okay, thanks, bye.